Here we are. Hey guys, was just getting used to the walks here. Again, the daily vlogging, going out, and the weather was nice. Today it's in the 40s, but the wind and the rain and the wet and evaporation and the wind chill, it's just too cold to go out, and we've been sick for too long. There is on Sunday a local Comic-Con or Toy Con, whatever you want to call it. They're calling it a Comic-Con this year. And it's on Sunday. Sort of hoping we all feel better and we can go. It's only $5 a head, except for children under 12, which are free. Problem being, the weather is cold, and they're talking about rain and snow for Sunday. So maybe that's not going to happen for us. We'll have to see what happens, because we all been sick here for a long time. Almost 2 weeks now. All of us are finally back to work and school. As of today, it's the first day since sometime last week. Everybody's been back to doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because of sickness, we've all been home. And I can tell you right now, from the congestion and stuff that I've still got going on, and the spring allergies that are also now starting to kick in, it's pretty rough. And I'm really hoping the cold part of this clears up really soon. It's really been tough. I mean, it's more than that, but the congestion is rough because when it's cold, it just rips the air right from you, and you're so congested. And so you feel like you can't hardly breathe and walk. You'd much rather be on your knees or just lay down and freeze to the ground in some cases. But also there is other issues holding us down as well, like vomiting and bathroom problems and other things not so nice to talk about. So not looking forward to really jumping right out there in the cold and the snowy weather either. But the con, it will be indoors, so it might be a possibility for us if we take a bus directly there, and, we can get in quick enough. Not a big deal. We shall see. But anyway, friends, just still going to have a nice day. Still want to have a quick stream. Share some things with you, because there's a lot of stuff going around that just don't make sense these days. There's a lot more to be happy about than to be sad about. People keep pushing out there. The world is not all about politics or conspiracies or anything else for that matter. There was a story I listened to that said, is the streaming revolution over? Is cord cutting dead? Well, yeah, cord cutting, I guess you could say it's dead. Why is it dead? Because nobody's really using the cord anymore. Your phones are wireless, your cable's wireless, everything's wireless. So cord cutting is redundant. Is streaming services getting too expensive? Yeah, sure they are. And plus they're adding advertising, so you got to pay more if you want to watch them without ads in some cases. And like they pointed out, even the platforms like Fire Stick and stuff are adding ads themselves, unless you pay extra, which is kind of silliness, but, if others are doing it, they'll do it. And yes, they did lose a lot of money in the beginning when they were trying to create their own content. You remember the Orange is the New Black and all that, big, expensive productions that Netflix went through. And they made investments that didn't make money. They lost a lot of money, so they want to make it back. So yeah, they're going to be charging more, but I don't think that's as dead as people want to make it. And even so, I think their bigger fear is the lower budget content creation is what they got to watch out for. YouTube creators, there's so many out there, and they're good. A lot of them are super good, like the FGTVs and the Rick Bedos and the Professor Rocks and the Walking New York guys and the Walking Toronto guys, and the recording history vloggers, and the ghost hunters and exploring abandoned. Those guys are they're pretty low budget, and their content pays for itself. Their, their stuff is either ad paid for because AdSense and the Google partnership, or people are paying for the premium subscription and they get a little bit of that, and other sponsors, but not really heavy advertising. The budgets are low. I mean, what do we really need here to create content? Either a computer and a StreamYard subscription that's $20 a year, or a cell phone, or a GoPro. Everybody's got a cell phone. Anybody can have a GoPro with $200-300, or the GoPro setups that are pretty similar to GoPro, and they're a little bit cheaper. They're about $150, and they do an equally good job. They may not last as long, or whatever, but they do a good job. But anyway, that is what the world is coming to, right there. The low budget, individual content creation, and if you're good at it, you're good at it. And it's selling. It's selling billions of hours right on TV screens even today. I mean, I think YouTube is far more popular than Netflix or Prime at this point, as far as views on TV. And the shorts and YouTube shorts, reels, not even so much reels, because they're still in, I like to think of them as the cavemen of video, meta. But, you still got TikTok, and it's being watched on TV too. And yes, I know it's vertical, but people are watching it. They're watching it in droves, and they're watching it hour after hour, binging. And it's costing them nothing extra. Most of it is absolutely free, if you don't mind sitting for an ad. Many of the ads can be skipped. You don't even have to watch them in full. So that's my take on that. And there are people panicking about the days of fast food and low-cost fast food being over, and talking about $16 Big Macs. And you know what? I don't think so. In fact, I know so. Here in Canada, in many places, the wages for fast food employees and stuff are pushing pretty close to $20 now, and you can still get, as long as you're not buying the number one, number two, or whatever type of a oversized meal, and the oversized type of thing, you can still get a Big Mac, small fries, and a soda for under $10 plus tax, unless you're having it delivered at home. Then it's going to cost you more. And that's part of why places like Wendy's are talking about charging different prices at different times of the day, because of the mess that Skip the Dishes and Uber Eats are making of the kitchens in the restaurants at the dinner hour. Their customers in store are suffering while they take care of the home delivery. And so to encourage people to buy at different hours, they will charge lower prices at a lower demand time. The electric company does it. The water company does it. It's not an unheard of system to get people to use all hours of the day instead of the same exact hour. If you get what I'm saying. It's not overall bad. And I don't think it's going to, that type of thing in the fast food market is going to last a long time, because they're building buildings. These fast food restaurants, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, KFC, and all these places, they've already got buildings where they make all this food all in the same building, just for home delivery. And the delivery companies stop at this warehouse with just drive-through service. Just drive-through, pick up the orders that you have orders for, and deliver them to where they got to go. And the stores in the areas where these exist just take care of customers that walk in the door. That's it. You don't have to get interrupted taking care of food services, or wondering if it's for Uber or if it's for here type of thing. And And it works out quite nicely. But the testing for this started during the pandemic, and while the sales were low, because everybody was ordering. All right, everybody was ordering delivery. Nobody was really going out into restaurants, except the ones that had outdoor eating areas, and they were pretty limited. They had pretty limited space. So I had to wait until business went back to normal, so to speak, after the pandemic to start doing anything, to be honest. But we have a ways to go because we're still in this inflation, the inflation trend. Companies still haven't been squeezed hard enough with high interest rates. I think we're going to see interest rates go up more, and we're going to start to see maybe food level out and drop a little bit, and everyday medical supplies like your Advils and stuff like that kick up in price, and they're going to start milking that for a bit. They got to wring all that money and all this energy out of these big multi-billion and trillion-dollar companies with higher borrowing. And we got to start seeing the bankruptcies and the unemployment rising and the foreclosures and all that. You got to see that recession. You got to see people stop spending and credit come to almost a halt before those interest rates will come down and they can re-kick that new cycle in. And it could take a long time because the pandemic, governments poured trillions and trillions into big business to keep them going, and into people's pockets as well. So they got a lot of money. They got a long way to go to get them down to the point where they stop pushing for more and more profit like they had during the pandemic when the government was filling your pocket and theirs. It's going to take a while. Not a simple thing, but it's not a conspiracy either. It's not like McDonald's hamburgers are going up to $18 for just a Big Mac. No, it's not going to happen, guys. People are making that kind of money in fast food here in Canada, and they've been doing it for over a year now. And the prices didn't go up that much. It's still only $6-something for a Big Mac, not 18. No matter what the guy in California wants you to believe on his YouTube channel that I just watched. Doesn't matter. It's not going to happen. Not unless they are really into price gouging huge time, and I don't think that's the case whatsoever. I don't feel sorry for the franchisee at all, because 90% of, when you talk about McDonald's being franchisees, it was one thing when they first started. The guy worked half his life and he earned some money, he got to have his McDonald's franchise. He only owned one. But now these guys are owning 5, 6, 10 of them in the same state, in multiple states even. They own 15, 20 McDonald's. They're not hurting. They're just raking the cash in. They're not hurting at all. They're becoming the fat cats on the block. They're not a little poor single guy having one little restaurant. They are having dozens of restaurants. And they're collecting money from every one of those tills. And a paycheck, too, without a doubt. They're not hurting at all. Franchisee is not what it used to be in the 60s and the 70s. You're not one guy. You may be just one guy or one group, but you're owning dozens, if not hundreds, of restaurants around. We must have, in this little area that I live in, and it's very little, we must have 10 or 12 McDonald's, and they're all owned by the same guy. Every one of them. So we got one franchisee, 12 McDonald's, and they're all owned by the same person. And who knows what else he owns anywhere else. Maybe he owns them in Kingston, Ontario, and other places too. But just in this area here, he owns almost a dozen. One guy. Kind of hard to feel sorry for a guy who's getting 12 incomes, isn't it? And so it's not what the franchisee market is not what it used to be. It's not McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, even Tim Hortons or Popeyes or any of that stuff. Not what it used to be. There is multiple people owning multiple restaurants, multiple places, even multiple states, multiple provinces. So it's not what it used to be. Not only is McDonald's a global restaurant chain that's held by franchisees, but the franchisees themselves are globally owned restaurants. I mean, a guy in New York can own a dozen in across the United States, a few in Japan, a few in China, UK, wherever, Canada. They can go wherever they want. It's not what it was. The borders are more open than you think. And each one of them, give them a payday. Poor little franchisee, right? Not. Fact is that part of the big thing with the United States is that the federal government hasn't had a wage increase in over 40 years, since the 70s, when the wages went up to 7-something an hour. But here's the reason why they want to hold off, because right now retirement is very high. They haven't had an increase in the retirement age since the 70s, which anybody born after 1970 something, I don't know what it is. You can't early retire at 62. Early retirement is 65. Full retirement is 67. If those wages go up to $20 an hour, that retirement age has to go up. You're going to have a retirement age, early retirement age of 70 years old, and almost 80 to have full retirement, which is about where it's probably at right now in Canada. Anyway, I think old age is 79 or 75 years old or something like that. You can retire at 65 or 67, but old age is like 75 or 80 years old. That's when you get your full retirement. So that's why governments hesitate about increasing minimum wages. It has to do with the amount of people retiring. Over 11,000 people a day right now, because of where we are in the boomers' retirement cycle, are retiring. Or almost 3 million people just this year alone, in the next year. The workforce is aging out faster and faster. And if we increase the amount of money that people are making, it increases the maximum amount that they can also get out of the system. And it not only increases the amount that the new people inputting can get out, it increases the amount that the current people can make. So the newer generation has to work longer, the older generation makes more money. When the newer generation gets to retirement age, that money isn't going to be worth what it is today. And that's why they hesitate, because it would just kill the system. The 70s almost killed the system. When they increased from $1 an hour up to $7 an hour in a couple of years period of time. And they had to increase the retirement age and the amount of years you had to pay in, and the amount of money you could get out of it. A lot to consider. That's why they fear it. There is no real actual retirement system in the U.S. There's no Social Security fund. There never was. Nobody actually took any money from a Social Security fund because there wasn't one. It never, ever existed. Never. Not even when it came into being. There was supposed to be, but it never happened. And a lot of people have been living under the guise that it was there and that the Senate voted to do away with it and use the money, and that just never happened because there was no such fund. It didn't exist. It was never, they never envisioned, they never really looked into the future at how massive the boomer generation really was. We talked about it later on in years, long after the system was created. I mean, long after. But beyond that, they never really took pencil to paper and figured out what it was going to cost them. They just said, hey, you know what, it's not going to be that bad. We're just going to put this in with all the funds and do it that way. And it just went on year after year. Its happy own way. And there was never any Social Security fund. It didn't exist. It still doesn't exist. It never will exist. Everything goes all in one place. It's just like the exorbitant amount you pay for the medical care, right? It's the highest thing that comes out of your paycheck is Medicare. And yet there's no Medicaid fund. It just comes out of every year's budget. There is no government health care in the United States. It's as there should be. Everybody pays for it. Everybody should be a part of it. But you only get it when you retire. That is taxation without representation. But there's no fund. They simply use it every year the way they choose. If they say we want this $1 billion to go to the military, well, that's where it goes. It goes to buy bombs, planes, ships. They don't put it into healthcare. If they did, we'd have far less people on the streets with mental illness and stuff like that, and homeless mental illness and drug abuse mental illness, where they're trying to treat themselves with drugs that are killing them to do away with their pain and their sorrows. There would be a lot less of it if they used the money for medical and not for military and other things and pay raises and shit like that. They try to keep your eyes shielded. The only conspiracy is the ones that never ever existed. Like Senate stealing the Social Security fund. They couldn't have stolen it. It didn't exist. The same with Medicaid fund. They couldn't have stolen that. It never existed. Yes, there was a special fee drawn out in taxes for that, but there was no fund it went to. It was all spent in the budget. There's never been any amount of surplus or savings or bonds bought except for the dollar bills that the Federal Reserve kept printing. And people keep talking about they don't want money to disappear, but money isn't worth anything anymore. They printed so much of it, they can't buy it back, so it's worthless. And it has to become electronic because a dollar bill isn't worth anything. That's why they got off the gold system, too. They printed so much money, they didn't have enough gold to cover it. So gold was starting to become worth less. It's a finite quantity of gold in the world, and we've printed more money with more value than gold could cover. So they depended on dollar bills, and now they've printed more dollar bills than dollar bills can cover. They will never ever buy all those bonds back in anybody's lifetime. I mean, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 years, yeah. But trillion dollar deficits, $3 trillion deficits, $4 trillion deficits, they take, thousands of years to pay down and buy back. Not decades, not a couple of years. Those deficits are never ever going away unless we go another way with something that's more worthwhile. Doing away with cash completely, making it all paper value or electronic value. Then we can pay people more We can tax people more. We can higher the interest rate without hurting people, and not give away money. You don't need helicopter cash. People could actually be born with full-time income, and it just goes down as you earn more money. And if if you lose your job, you just automatically never have to file for unemployment or welfare or anything like that. You've got an income you were born with. That's what the world is coming to. Only one way that can happen, guys. And it's not with dollar bills. Not with dollar bills. Anyway, I've been rambling on too much. And I'm tired of the conspiracy theories that I keep hearing about. So many of the channels that I watch are turning to conspiracy garbage or political trash instead of what they used to be. Some of them even used to be vlogging channels, vlogging their towns and recording history, and they've turned into conspiracy yuck. It really is disheartening. And, I really didn't want to, not probably what I wanted to talk about, but it is what happened. Anyway, we're going to end this, and we'll see you later. I hope you have a good afternoon and a good day. Hope you'll leave a like and a comment. And we'll see you later. Bye-bye.